This episode of the Barnsey podcast was recorded on the last day of 2014 but is only now being uploaded in March 2015. Apologies for the delay. But finally here is episode 11. Next episode will be up soon and will be a recent recording. Smoke them if you got them. Here we go for another round of the Barnsey podcast.
Fake brain, fake brain, fake brain, fake brain, fake brain.
Welcome to episode 11 of the Barnsey podcast. Welcome, Brewer.
Yo, how's it going, guys?
It
Welcome.
is December 30, 2014, the second last day of the year. Quite unbelievable that we are yet another year clicking by on the calendar. I'm still dealing with when we went to 2000. I'm probably showing my age here, but I just can't believe when I wasn't writing 1990 something on the dates. And this is back in the time where you would be writing an actual date on a bit of paper way more often than you do in these days. But god damn, man, 2014 is done. We're 15 years past the millennium. That's
The Olympics
crazy.
was 15 years ago.
That is crazy.
That's fucking full on.
That is crazy because that for me is a big waypoint in time.
No, fucking A. Simpsons Marathon was 15 years ago.
That's right.
Remember the Simpsons Marathons on the Fox 8? Fox Gate?
That you're just talking about the every Saturday Fox marathon.
I remember during the Olympics, Fox 8 had that Maddie on and that swimmer dude on, and they just played 24/7 simp.
That was Foxtel's counter to not having the Olympics.
So whenever there was something shit on, you just simp.
I fully remember that. And the Olympics were like 2.5 weeks. So it was just solid fucking...
And there was a full Maddie who was the presenter and some swimming dude.
Yeah, right.
Failed swimming dude. I can't remember his name. But she was Maddie.
I think I seem to remember the host. Yeah, I'm trying to remember the swimmer's name.
Back in the days when Foxtel didn't have ads. Well, didn't have ads, commercial ads.
Not ads from other companies. Yeah. They had their own ads.
They had heaps of their own ads, and you got sick of the fucking promo ads because you saw them all the fucking time, but there wasn't any fucking KFC hot spot bullshit, whatever.
It was all for their own other shows because Foxtel had only turned on not long before.
No.
2000 probably.
Yeah, and I was speaking to a customer today about Foxtel, and he's like, there's fucking ads everywhere. He was getting quite animated.
As bad as commercial TV.
Why do I pay for Foxtel? Fuck's sake.
It's unbelievable.
Okay, what are you going to say? Like, fuck, spend that money on Netflix when it comes out.
I guess the argument is, you're not paying for no ads. You're paying for the content that we provide. But that we remember, as we were just saying, a time where there wasn't commercial ads on Foxtel at all. All you got was theirs. And that was the same voiceover guy for everything.
Yeah, it was Mike Goldman's dad, the dude from fucking Big Brother.
Yeah, right.
He did I think we've talked about this before, he did all the train announcements for ages.
Yeah,
remember?
Right.
It was Mike Goldman's dad.
This station has no rubbish bins.
Yeah, that's right. I think he was like the Channel 10 resident voiceover dude, for ages, and that's what I attributed him to.
Yeah.
He'd be fucking loaded for his voice.
Voiceover work's pretty lucrative, especially if you've got a career that spans that long, and especially if you get to a point where you're a recognised industry standard voice. I was thinking about this the other day. We're no longer in the era.
Jesus.
Is that a bit loud?
Yeah, it's all right. Fucking me.
Testing.
Yeah.
Okay, we're no longer in the era, and I kind of miss it, of trailers are different. They're not what they used to be. And you know how we're talking about a voiceover guy that's instantly recognisable? Remember the trailer dude?
This summer.
And they still do that a little bit on some action movies, but it's more of a parody. And I swear to God, I'm sure there's probably a good documentary or something you can read about this thought that I'm having, but I'm sure through the 90s, it was one dude that did all the big movies. He was the go-to dude. And I remember as a kid or as a teenager, and during the time where I just loved action movies, and there were some awesome ones coming out, and you'd like hire a VHS tape and you'd get 3 or 4 trailers before the movie started on the VHS tape.
Yeah.
And I remember if you had an action film, it was so easy to sell me. I was in. Unless you didn't use that voiceover guy. And I instantly I was like, this is a cheap production. What is this? You know, you didn't use the dude. You've got some dude pretending to be the dude and he sounds like shit. It's not the same dude. It was something about the classy voice of this guy when you heard him, even if it was a crap like Jason, movie.
And the...
If people need a reference of who I'm talking about, I know for sure 100% the person I'm talking about is the person that did the voice on the original theatrical trailer for the first Predator film. Now, if you go and just Google YouTube that, you'll find that just put original theatrical trailer Predator, and the guy that does the voiceover in that's the voice I'm talking about. And he did the Die Hard trailer. He did all of the good action films, and it was like even non-action films. It was like not rom-coms, but like thrillers, and he did everything. He just dominated the industry. And I remember there was a period where I don't know if the guy died, I don't know if the guy retired from the industry, but like there was all these wannabe voices that were trying to fill that guy's gap. And it was a period of about a year or two where trailers just had these shit voices, at least in my ear. It was like these guys are just trying to be that old school dude. And then they found somebody that was damn close. And I'm pretty sure it might be the same dude, or maybe it's just a vocal coaching lesson that they've figured out now to teach people that have got that timbre, that register, that baritone voice of how to emulate it and do it. But it seemed like they found somebody that kind of then fit into being the next guy. But in the modern day, we don't really have trailers like that, do we? We don't we have the occasional coming this summer, but
I don't watch them.
They're more jump cut trailers.
Yeah, and like music based and suggestive and shit, but still give you the whole fucking thing away.
And even when you do get the coming this summer or an epic tale or whatever, it's graphics just showing it, just words. It's not somebody. Yeah. It's almost like that's old school and cheesy. We don't want that on this futuristic, awesome movie.
Channel 9 promo of some fucking war dude hanging.
We bang on about fucking TV advertising on the podcast a lot, but what's Channel 9 is the worst.
It's during the cricket.
I know which one you're talking about.
The Gallipoli one, and it's just a different picture, one. And it's like it looks really artful, but it's like Nine's epic series.
The way that
eat a fucking dick.
Gallipoli means it's got serious history, and the way that's manipulated into this
it's just fucked,
series, and then they're gonna weave love stories into it and stuff. It's like and the way it's promoted is just
you can't escape it, and you'll see it 20 times in a fucking day, and you just. I don't want to like it.
I'm done with it. It's the third time it was suggested to me.
And it's a moving picture, for fuck's sake. I haven't even seen any footage and I'm fucking over it.
Man, while we're on the subject of crappy, we're in that season of new shows are going to be coming out soon. Like, coming in 2015. Look at our blockbuster lineup.
Coming in March. You got to watch the shit fucking promos till March.
Again, Channel 9. Have you seen this show that they're pushing that they think is going to be massive? And it looks like another tanker. Like all the other shows that they thought they were going to be massive, and you look back on now, it's like, man, that was on air for like 4 months. Now what's it called? Forever. Forever. So, okay, here's the story. For some reason, this dude's immortal, hence forever. And for some reason, he's awesome at solving crimes. But every time he's solving crimes, it'll have flashbacks to old-timey times that he lived in, because he's mortal. He's like not just immortal from yesterday. He's been immortal for like hundreds of years and been around the fucking when...
So it's like a mix between Highlander and the dude who gets high when he touches people.
Kind of. Like, it looks so it might be half decent, but the way that Channel 9 promotes these things and drills it into you and tells you how you're gonna love it, it's gonna be a smash hit. This many million American viewers. I'm so sick of that statistic of this many million American viewers. You're gonna trot out 14 million US viewers. We can right now find the most stupid fucking YouTube video that has got easy 14 mil. Easy!
Yeah.
And those 14 mil are usually pilots, and those 14 mil don't hang around, but we're not going to talk about that in the big promo, are we? We're going to talk about that 14 mil that checked out the first 10 minutes that the old dodgy Nielsen rating system caught, and therefore, it's a smash. Yeah, I'm going off the rails a little bit, but it looks like just another one of those. Like there was a show very similar, but it was a dude that was blind. He was a blind detective, blind faith, and he was this blind detective that had this. They just
shit.
like trotted him into like a murder scene, and he'd like kick over half the shit. He'd be like, "I think it was the colonel in the kitchen with a fucking rolling pin." It was a ridiculous show, and the way that it was pushed
the worst, and it's still the worst, and is you're gonna love them. Is fucking House Husbands, and I saw somebody buying a box set of House Husbands on DVD the other day. I'm like, what the fuck, man?
I think it rates pretty well.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Gary Sweet, eat a dick.
It's weird when you see. In a country like Australia and an industry of acting in Australia, which is like, it must be a tough gig, and you've got to obviously
small market, yada.
Switch around your roles a fair bit. Like in America, if you've made it and you've kind of made it as like a style actor, like you are known as being like, you've made it big in like a mobster film and you're kind of like the mobster go-to guy, you could probably make a good career. There's enough work going around for you to be that go-to mobster guy. But in Australia, Gary Sweet was like, he's gone from like this hard, like underbelly, Blue Murder, was it? The ABC one?
Fucking, wasn't it like Police Rescue or some shit?
And Police Rescue, like, it's just weird watching these people. And you're meant to believe, like, it's hard to fully embrace characters when there's like, dude, I bought you as this, like, Police Rescue dude.
Yeah.
And now I'm meant to be this, like, frantic, I got to buy tampons for my wife, weird situation comedy.
What about the dude from Underbelly, man? He was like full hardcore in that fucking. I really liked him in that Underbelly series.
Which dude are you talking about?
He's in House Husbands.
Oh, yeah.
He was quite good, man. And then fucking he goes and does fucking Family Dada. What the fuck, man? Like, Jesus.
He's probably looked at his options after it, and like, as successful as Underbelly was, it's again small market. It's big in Australia. It's not huge overseas. It's not probably enough to go over and get an agent in LA and then crack that market. So then you're looking back at the Australian market. Somebody comes along with the plum roll in a like what will probably be a 5-6 season. If this latches on, it'll be like a big cash cow.
No.
It's hard, I agree. It's like, dude, you've just completely squandered any like built up character around that kind of role. Like, I can't now watch you go back to doing a movie like that because, but I guess they don't have the luxury of choice,
Yeah. And that'd be a pretty, good gig. Like you said, it probably rates pretty well, and it's been over a few seasons. People are buying box sets of it. Like, for fuck's sake. Anyway.
Yeah, one of the things that I want to maybe incorporate into the podcast, because, the podcast is, I've found from doing the 10, 11 episodes that we've done so far, it's an excellent way to air out thoughts that you're having, that we talk about stuff, the people that I've had, the friends that I have on the podcast, we have conversations. But there's something weird about a podcast format where it's like this sit down focused conversation, and you can really flesh out some, things that, you might not explore as far in normal conversation. So one of the things I want to start doing on the podcast is maybe just bringing up some rants, some things that have been annoying me or bugging me. Now, I got to preface right now, These like are uneducated, just first knee-jerk reaction thoughts. And the reason why I think a podcast is a good place to bring up these things is, number one, when I actually verbalize a lot of the shit, like I'm sure people who are listening can relate to this. Things bounce around in your head, and it's like an echo chamber, and they amplify. And when you actually verbalize something that's bouncing around in your head, sometimes when you even say it, you're like, man, that's dumb. You know, what was I even thinking? Like, even as you're explaining to somebody thinks like a normal person, you just you just stopping yourself as you're talking about it. It's like, why was I even worried about it? Kind of thing. Or sometimes it's like someone will come out and go, man, I feel exactly the same way. And it's like, oh man, awesome. I'm not just sitting here in the corner thinking these strange thoughts and I'm the only weird person in the room thinking this. So that's my purpose for bringing up this section on the podcast is I'm totally open for people to pull me up on something, I'll probably even just like listen back to it myself and go, and it's working things out, let's say. So having said that, let me just run through a couple of the things that have been noting down that are like annoying me. Okay. And I'm sure these are very petty things as well. So strap yourselves in, people. One thing I've noticed, right, the term spoiler alert. Now, we're in a culture, right, where everything is online, and whenever there's some big TV show, some movie, some twist in a plot, people are like posting about it online, or they're talking about it online on podcasts or whatever like that. And they usually sing it. It's like, spoiler alert. For some reason, it has to be sung. Like, that shits me. Okay.
I watch Tested a lot, and
spoiler alert. Do they do it a lot?
Yeah,
and do they sing it?
Do it in that American and the American accent, and it kind of sounds like they're singing. And they're nerdy as fuck. So, yeah,
they do some good reviews. They're like, I know that you've been watching them and probably subscribed to their channel, but even just me doing organic searches for like reviews on stuff, they're coming up is on a lot of even like podcast equipment and stuff like that. They're because they've got actual reviews, and then they've got their actual like just sit down talk podcasts.
They do a couple of different podcast things. I mainly watch it because it was like Mythbusters on YouTube. Yeah, that's how I got drawn to it. Yeah, and one of the dudes on it is a bit, and the other dude's pretty good.
It's Adam Savage.
Then Adam Savage, and he does like a weekly podcast, and he kind of drives it, and he's really good.
I think it's a very wise move of him. I think that. Mythbusters has been a fucking juggernaut of TV success for fucking how long. But he probably sees there's an end game to that and building up a podcast community while he's still got that success and exposure from TV. That's the ultimate, man. That's what all the good podcasters have managed to do. They've managed to establish that before they've either left that mainstream medium. Like that's what Howard Stern does now. I think he's actually a subscription digital radio station, right. But he
has like porn stars and stuff on it.
Howard Stern show's legendary. Right. It was basically it is a radio show, but it was like podcasting way before people were doing podcasting. Just like open talk, but getting people in for real conversations, crazy stories, and things like getting hookers in. And you've seen the movie where gets the woman to straddle her big hi-fi speaker and tune it into his station, and then he's like onto the microphone. We went way off course there. Spoiler alert, right? And it's usually sung. Spoiler alert. Now, what shits me about it is that people are fucking saying it after they spoil. It's like, so fucking Darth Vader is Luke fucking Skywalker's dad. Spoiler alert! It's not an alert. Stupid. It's not a fucking alert if it's after it happens. Yeah, it's like
yeah.
Like I don't know what's the past tense for alert? Like fucking spoiler lawsuit. I don't know. Fucking.
How about punch in the face? That's pretty dumb.
But
man,
that's I don't know. Am I being fickle? I would ask maybe people, if
But
they've
on the
already
flip
spoiled something,
side,
don't say spoiler alert.
Yeah,
Just say,
yeah.
sorry, I
but
just spoiled it.
wouldn't you be shitty if somebody actually spoiled something and then didn't say spoiler alert to warn you of the fact after the fact? That's pretty dumb, you know.
There's
but-
no purpose to it. After
It's
the
pretty friggin' dumb.
fact. Okay, my next rant point is so I've recently started working a job it's just works out to be fucking impossible to park a car at, so I catch a bus to work, and some days, you know, fucking catches up with the best of us, the lack of sleep, and you might not be as on time as you want to be going to work, and you catch a bus that's maybe the bus or two after the bus that you really should be catching to be at work on time. So you're sort of sitting on the bus and you're just like, you know, kind of willing it to get through the traffic a bit faster and just kind of, you know, looking at your watch, counting the time. And this just happened to me like 2-3 times on this route. It just stops halfway. Like it goes to one of the bus stops, people get off, people get on. And it just sits there for like a good, like the other day I counted it was 7 minutes sitting there still with the doors open.
Is it because there's usually traffic and they're trying to put that into the timetable and he's ahead of the timetable and he has to wait so he doesn't get to those bus stops early?
Very good point. Yes, that's probably exactly why it's done. But
yeah, I do remember that. Can you see,
like, it's the like,
just come on, man. There's no one there. Come on. I remember once,
so
I used to catch
futile.
buses all the time, man. And I remember once a dude stopped and got out his paper and started reading his paper for 5 minutes. And then, I'm like, man, like,
come on.
could be getting a coffee, dude. Like, Jesus, fuck the rest of them. But if you were one of those people that looked at the timetable further on down the line and then came out in the morning, there's no fucking bus because it went past 7 minutes earlier.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but isn't that like more of a sign of the fucking inefficiency? It's like, shouldn't there be like fucking more buses? Shouldn't it be to the point where if you're actually beating time, that's a good thing because there won't be that much longer behind for a next bus? And that's the thing. Like
I guess that's where the traffic plays havoc with bus timetables. Because how can you predict that shit? You know,
I know. It's next to impossible. Like, you know, some days it's like I wonder what's creating more traffic on some days opposed to others. It's like I really am baffled by it. But yeah, that's just so infuriating. You're on a bus and you're already late, and you're like, okay, we made it. The traffic's not too bad. And you get like halfway and you just sit there. And the engine's running. Like, this is like in the age of like we are running out of fossil fuels. But a bus will just sit there idling for 7 minutes while the fucking busload of people are waiting to get to work.
It's still a fossil fuel, but I think most of the buses run on gas now.
Yeah. Which is, you know,
better, but still not great.
But then that means that like the natural gas consumption from that must be pretty fucking epic. Like if all Sydney buses, and I believe that there's like starting to be some fracking going on in Australia. Like that's like, what's that company? I think it's Chevron.
Yeah.
And it's like got those ads where they have the two people side by side. It's a loaded ad. It's such a loaded ad. Like they got this like hippie chick that's representing
everyone. Yeah, she's not my representative just as much as fucking Optus fuckhead can fuck off.
Okay, Simon Pegg is shit.
No. What about Shaun of the Dead, man? That was a fucking good movie.
Did you enjoy that movie?
That was a good movie, man.
I don't know.
Hot Fuzz.
Oh. I don't fall asleep in many movies, but I fell asleep in that movie. I don't know.
He did some other ones as well. I know I'm not a huge fan. He's not the messiah of British fucking.
He seems to be. He's like, isn't he Scotty on Star Trek as well?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, no.
He wasn't too bad in that role.
Yeah, I like that.
But I don't know. It's just like I see him like praised as this like awesome like sci-fi actor. He's got some other movie where it's like, I think it's called Paul. And there's like some alien CGI
man,
alien.
I have seen that, and that's pretty fucking poor. I think that's just like I needed some money. But I hear what you're saying, and I don't think he's as good as everyone gives him credit for. But I don't think he's shit.
I've given his stuff several goes. I've seen Shaun of the Dead. I didn't like it.
That's like a mean tweet, man. Sean Pegg is shit.
He is. It's just like I just can't think of a better description for the way that he makes me feel. Like I just look at his work and I'm just like, man, you're shit. You're shit. And I could just ignore people that I don't like normally. But it's because he's propped up by all these other people that I know that's like, man, have you seen this? And like, oh, he's awesome in this. And it's just like, makes me just go, no, it's shit. No. So, yeah, that's that's a classic rant, unthought out. If somebody's got something to counter that.
Yeah. Come on. I'm sure he's been
I've met Simon Pegg fans, but I've seriously sat down with them and said, explain to me. Give me something, at least what's my gateway? What's my gateway to figuring out this dude is funny? Because like a lot of people might look at somebody like Ricky Gervais and see some of his later stuff where he's really become a niche kind of dude and go, what the fuck is funny about this guy? He's done some shit,
man. He's done some
and he has done some bad stuff. Yeah. But his gateway was The Office.
But you know
that was his gateway. That was fucking awesome, and you can show that to somebody that appreciates his
stand-up's
comedy.
Pretty fucking good as well.
Some of his stand-up was pretty good.
Like he had a series there for a while.
There's a special that I've seen was in the UK of his, which was pretty good. It was. I wouldn't put it up there as my favorite stand-up artists, but definitely a solid stand-up. But you know what I mean with Ricky Gervais, like his acquired taste. Yeah. But there is some, if someone was to like, you know, Ricky Gervais, like how can I'm willing to like him, but like everything I've tried is like, and you go to The Office. You got to start at season 1 of The Office and you just got to watch it.
What if they then don't like it?
Then they're probably not going to like fucking anything from there, because that's kind of you know.
Well, yeah.
So I'm waiting for that Simon Pegg gateway, and
I think
everything is a stenchy.
Shaun of the Dead was his like breakthrough.
Yeah, I know, and I didn't like that. The sidekick in that shat me.
The fat dude.
Oh my god,
he's the fat dude in Hot Fuzz, and he's like
That's what Hot Fuzz is like.
It's like fucking what's his name and the fat dude Farley.
Chris Farley,
and the other dude.
You're comparing. Oh my!
No, it's
God.
like that. They're like the on-screen duo that always do the movies together. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Like David Spade and Chris Farley.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
But no,
he's but much shit.
Chris Farley was the fucking shit. That dude,
fuck yeah, man,
was like. I don't know. It's like you cannot watch any footage of that guy and not have your own adrenaline increase. That's how fucking full tilt that dude was. You just sit there still watching footage of him, and you can't. Your heart rate fucking increases. Then the dude is so fucking intense.
Fucking funny, man. He
was funny. Good. Yeah. Next little rant point. 3D printers, right? Got a friend that's, I think we've talked about it on the podcast before, who's fucking doing awesome shit on his 3D printer. Yeah, we did talk about it. He made the fucking OCP logo.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking from RoboCop and shit. And he's like posted it up on Facebook, and I was looking at it and I'm like, man, that's fucking awesome, man. I'd love to just like download some shit and fucking print it out. And then I realized
right plastics and shit for it to work as well.
Like. Yeah, and apparently that technology is getting better and better. And cheaper. Like I'm pretty sure I couldn't quite tell if it was a joke or not, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't a joke. I think this guy that I know that's got a 3D printer has 3D printed a 3D printer. I'm serious. I think he's made another 3D printer from his 3D printer.
How are you going to make all the moving parts and shit?
I think there's some bits that you got to buy, but it'd be like a few components.
A few components.
I don't know.
Do you think a 3D printer is made out of plastic?
I'm sure that if you Googled
plastic,
We'll do it after.
You might get a casing or like, you know, like fucking.
I know. I don't understand it.
Wire that shit up.
My point with the 3D printing, though, right, is, and specifically with looking at things like this OCP logo and shit, and looking at it, going, man, that's fucking gnarly. Like you just fucking and then it'll print out shit. And as a side note, I recently went to a comic book shop and saw like things like figurines for like fucking, you know, Marvel figurines and shit like that were like, you know, what's that? Like 2 foot tall. Like they're meant to stand on your shelf. Solid fucking units, like, you know, but like we're talking like upwards of $1,000 a piece.
Ouch.
Like fucking ridiculous money. Now I'm looking at these 3D printers and shit. I'm like, fuck, you know, if you were into that shit, you just fucking spend that money on a fucking awesome 3D printer and just start printing out all of your fucking Marvel fucking collection and shit, right?
It's not that easy.
But then I realized, looking at this guy's stuff and then fucking realizing that he is an amazing fucking hobbyist painter. And all of the shit that he's printing out is fucking, like you say, like that white plastic. It's not printing color shit. It's not like it's finished product after fucking going to bed.
Hell no. You gotta like,
you gotta be awesome at painting.
And like you gotta clean them up, sand down the seams and stuff, because there's like stringy bits and stuff. On the tested, they do like, you know, a maker bot. Guess what it's making, and it's like a time lapse thing.
Right.
And I've watched a few of them, and it's like, it's cool. And it's like comes out of nowhere and nothing, and it's like takes forever. But they're not perfect. They're not like flawless. You know, they're not like commercial grade type of plastic making. Like if you got that in a shop, you go fucking.
You reckon?
It's like shit.
Yeah.
And it's like
what one concept of it that really interests me, right, is when I had my recording studio, and I've still got it, I had this fucking 2-inch tape machine, which is like from like the 70s, right? And it's like, I'm talking about like analog tape. So most recordings are done in computers these days, but you know, back when it was like the big reel-to-reel tape machines, I had one of those machines. I still got one of those machines. Anyway, a couple of years into owning this thing and operating this thing, parts were starting to die, and one of them was what's called the pinch roller, and that's like this like plastic roller that presses the tape against a motor that then pulls the tape through the machine assembly and across the heads and stuff. Basically, the plastic on this roller was from the 70s, and it was degrading, and as it degraded, the performance of the tape machine started to go out of whack. And I had this like old school like dude in his 70s that knew my tape machine, that was my technician, and he'd come out like once a month, and I was showing him what was going on. It's like, you need a new pinch roller. I'm like, where are we going to get a new pinch roller? Like, do they make parts for this machine anymore? He's like, no, we're going to have to go. Just like, he knew a manufacturing company in Japan, I think it was, that you could place an order. And he was like, he looked up the schematics of the original part. Luckily, I had all of the paperwork for this tape machine and all the schematics and electronic layouts. And he figured out to the millimeter the dimensions of this like basically plastic roller, and we had to place an order with this company, and it was like, it ended up costing like, I think it was upwards of $500 for a fucking like a bit of plastic like that. Now I look at 3D printers. Now, it's probably not going to be able to use the same material that was in this thing, but maybe one day it'll get to the point where something like that, instead of me having to fucking go to some specialist manufacturing company in a foreign country and place one order for one little part that costs several $100, I can just go to even a mate that's got a good 3D printer and just sling him $50 and go, dude, could you just print me out a little fucking roller like this? He's like, you got the dimensions? I'm like, yeah, here's all the dimensions. He's like, come back in 2 hours, I'll have it for you.
I think you need to like build it in some program, like
CAD, I think it is, that they do all the scanning.
Jesus, that's pretty full and stuff though.
But just imagine that got to the point where we could do that with some household components, you know, like some fucking, or even in cars and shit, some fucking weird fucking part that your mechanic tells you is going to take 3 months to fucking import from fucking
It's not going to be made out of plastic,
Turkmenistan.
though.
Hey?
It's not going to be made out of plastic in your car.
But maybe the 3D printing will get to a point where it's, and I have seen some
print metal.
cutting edge technologies that's starting to do polymer metals and stuff like that.
No way. That's insane.
But that's like not consumer based
Skynet
stuff.
It will become self-aware.
Maybe it'll get to the point where, like, that's one of the coolest technologies on Star Trek that I've not ever become possible in my lifetime, that maybe 3D printing gives me a little glimpse into, is the replicators on Star Trek.
Huh?
Replicators, where it just materialized anything.
What the fuck?
That's how they ate on Star Trek. They'd just go to I'm pretty sure they were called a replicator, and it would just replicate molecularly at a molecular level whatever you told it, and whatever it had programmed into it that it already scanned. So it's like a 3D printer for anything. It just 3D prints at a molecular level, and you just can go up to it. And they're the ones on the Star Trek ships were programmed with everything. And I remember a scene where barbecue chicken, and this like steaming roast barbecue chicken, roasted chicken or whatever they ordered, whatever it was that they wanted. It was like tank food, fresh, bang. And like I used to always imagine getting one of those things and just saying, like, you know, cash. But then like tilting it on its side, so when you press the replicate button, instead of filling up with cash, it just poured out and just kept going, like just cash.
You're going to be on a ship in the
On
middle
Star
of
Trek,
fucking
where it's a cashless
space.
society and there's no need for money because you can replicate anything. I want cash. I don't know why.
Give me cash.
Let me see what else have I got on my rant list. Okay, so yeah, we're just talking about being on a bus and fucking sitting for ages waiting for it to fucking get somewhere. I have a funny story. It's like a sad story, really. Like I was sitting on the bus and fucking for some reason my phone was dead, so I couldn't do the podcast or, you know, head in the phone as you're waiting on the bus. And I'm just sort of sitting there, just like looking around, you know, waiting for the bus ride to finish. And this lady comes and sits in the seat right in front of me. Now, I was not trying to like look at what she was doing, but it was this weird thing where she was texting with a phone like really like up and high, like right in front of her face like this, and like, you know,
Yeah.
texting like this. And so it's like almost next to impossible for my eyes not to like kind of be drawn to like her phone. So, long story short, I ended up fucking watching this lady text a friend of hers or whatever. And I wasn't even reading the text words so much. It was just like, I was just so bored on a bus that I'm watching just somebody figure out how to text. It's just weird watching somebody else text. I don't know what. But the point of the story is it got to the end of a text and I watched this woman for about like several minutes choose an emoticon. An emoji, whatever you want to call it. So I think that she had an app,
What the
or
fuck,
most
man?
phones now allow you, they've got an extra menu in their keyboard that's like just full of fucking different smileys. Like, and it was just like kind of weird. Like she would like fully like think about it for ages and she'd like flick through all the pages and then go back and then she'd like choose like one that was like a kissy face with like stars in its eyes, like stars, and then put it there, and then she'd like
fucking do.
she just looked at the text for ages, like just kind of seeing how it's sized up with that, and then kind of looked out the window and just to kind of maybe reset the eyes, and then went back to the phone and like she'd go in and then she'd delete it. Like just that emoji or emoticon and be like, no, I don't like that one. And then I'd watch her flick through a whole bunch of pages of more. That was a kind of a strange situation, yeah. So I told you that my rants would not be well thought out and they would be very
Fuck that, you.
random shit. See, even as I'm talking about that, like I'm like, why did that bother me? And why did it bounce around in my head for so long?
That. Why would you fucking hell? Just pick one, you dumb bitch. Doesn't really matter. For fuck's sake. What are you doing? Like, reading somebody else's fucking phone. It goes,
I honestly couldn't tell you what her text message was because I wasn't there to be like, ooh, let's see what you're texting. It was just like, yeah, my eyes are there, but I just found it like this, like, what a strange time we live in. And there wasn't like a young, Asian tourist that is like using a lot of emoticons all the time. It was like a lady in her like late 40s, early 50s, and taking like minutes and minutes of time to find the appropriate emoticon. I found that. I don't know what I found. That
is very weird.
I just found this is strange. Finding myself sitting here watching this happen. Yeah, it was strange. So yeah, that's another episode of the Barnsey podcast. Last one of 2014. Thanks for everyone for tuning in over this year.
Thank you, everyone. It was awesome. We want to do more, get more guests on, comments, all that kind of stuff.
We're really going to utilise the new studio a lot more.
We'll get the internet back down here so we can, put stuff in the corners. And
Definitely. All things that once we have been doing the podcast in the new space, realising all of the plans we need to get sorted. So rest assured, all of these things will come into place in the new year. Thank you to all of the guests that came onto the podcast over the last 12 months. Crazy, Mitch, Jezza. It's been really, really awesome. Thank you for everybody that's been listening and downloading and subscribing.
Yes.
And tune in soon. We'll be back.
See you next year.
Clean your teeth, have you been eating poo?
Go ahead, crack a gun into your faggot bone.